Hey guys, DesolatorMagic here, and every time a new set comes out, everybody likes to make best of, here's the best cards, the most powerful. Well, I mean, there's like a 9/9 dinosaur for like 8 or something. I mean, that's the most powerful, but is it playable? Is it summonable? Yeah, you could cheat it out for free with Champion of Ronus, or you could ramp that high. Okay, not surprising that some people would call cards like that the most powerful. But in my opinion, the most powerful is the most playable, the most likely to go in a deck, the most useful, the most build-worthy. So honestly, the title's a bit of a misnomer, but I'll still say these are the most powerful because, you know, power, in my opinion, is the ability to build a deck that wins. You know, it kind of makes sense. So here is a list of all the cards that you should definitely at least consider when you're building a deck because, you know, if you're on color, you just might want to throw it in. You know, maybe not, maybe it doesn't fit, but some of these, they're just so good. They have like recurring abilities, or they're just so undercosted that, you know, they're subtle, but not really, because you'll win the game if they're in your deck. So the first up, in no particular order, is Drover of the Mighty. This is insane. So it's a 2-cost universal mana dork, which that alone is crazy. That is so good. Not only did we just lose a whole bunch of the mana generating creatures, but very, very few of them tapped for any color. In fact, I think the lowest cost one that tapped for any color was a 3-cost, and if you wanted something close, Deathcap Cultivator was about as close as you were going to get, because that was 2 colors for 2 mana. So this is just the mana generating creature. Now get this. If you control a dinosaur, he becomes a 2/2. So a little tiny bit later in the game, he might be a 3/3. So you got, okay, mana generating creatures. Great. Those are lovely. You can ramp. Yay. They kind of silently bypass the land drop limit. Well, and then almost all of them tap for just green, or like 2 colors or 3 colors, or, you know, you got to filter with them, or they untap a land, or they can only tap for a color that a land can produce. For multicolored, that's not so friendly. I mean, sometimes it works, but, you know, this is any color. And then you've got mana dorks where they get bigger over time somehow. They have some kind of trigger that makes them bigger. Those are the ideal ones. So you mix it all together, make it cost 2. Oh my gosh. But most people just say, oh, it's a 1/1 for 2. That's too slow, too expensive. No, it isn't. This is the ramp card in Standard for the next year, minimum. Next up, we got Vance's Blasting Cannons, and this is a 4-cost legendary enchantment, so it's not amazing, but a lot of people look and say, oh, it's overcosted, oh, you're never going to hit the flip condition, oh, I don't like it. We'll take a second look, because here's what it does. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it until the end of turn. It doesn't say that, but that's what it probably should say. So you do have to pay for the spell, but this is recurring card draw in red for free. Let that sink in for a second. You get a bonus card every single turn off the top of your deck. It's virtually in your hand, except it isn't. It can't be disrupted through hand disruption, which honestly, it's all sorcery speed anyway. And then also it can flip. You actually wouldn't want it to flip, but if it did, it's actually quite good on the other side too. It's just completely different. But this won me the pre-release, almost single-handedly. I was outdrawing them 2-1, and I got 2 creatures for every 1 creature that they had, and I got 2 removal spells for every 1 that they had. I mean, it's so good. So on the other side, it's Spitfire Bastion. Oh, if you cast 3 spells in 1 turn, you will transform him immediately, I believe. Yeah. So it taps for red mana, that's kind of cool. I mean, instead of colorless. Then if you pay 3, it deals 3 damage to target creature or players. So 3 damage to the player every single turn that basically can't be prevented. Hello. Or like a mid-range removal for a creature every single turn, once per turn. Are you kidding me? That's insane. So do not overlook that card. By the way, here's a card that nobody's overlooking. Growing Rights of Itlamok. I'd love to see where this ties into the story. This is just weird. Oh look, it's a desert full of dinosaurs that need to eat things that aren't in a desert. Let's grow a tree. So when it enters the battlefield, which by the way it only costs 3, it's pretty nice. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. That's already not bad. It kind of resembles very heavily played cards from the past. At the bottom it says, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, flip it. This is where people are losing their damn minds. Itlamok, Cradle of the Sun, or as people are calling it, Gaia's Cradle, which apparently was not legal in Modern. So that's interesting. Explains the price tag on this. So yeah, it can tap for green, or it can tap for 1 green for each creature you control, which I believe we've just discussed is 4 or more. So yeah, it's a land that taps for 4 mana. I mean, this is, we've seen this. This is Karametra's Acolyte, basically, if every single creature was limited to 1 devotion. This is also Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, basically, but you don't have to feed 2 into it. And it's also basically Cryptolith Rite, which was one of the most powerful cards printed in the last 3 years. I mean, letting non-mana creatures tap for mana, you could do anything with that. And there's a bunch of X spells, removal, oh my god. So it fetches a creature and flips. The only problem is if you had 4 creatures on the battlefield already, you probably weren't going to win, not in all cases. But if you had like 7, I mean, how good is their board state that you're not swinging? But yeah, being able to tap for like 7 mana with 7 creatures on the field, holy crap. Like you could do a boost everybody and give them trample spell or something like that. So yeah, being able to tap 1 land for more than 1 mana, that is huge. Speaking of huge and green, Shaper's Sanctuary, it's a 1 cost, so if you're not playing a 1 cost deck, here's your turn 1 dump so you don't waste your turn. Otherwise, on turn 7, not too intrusive on the mana cost. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. That could be a Planeswalker ability that says, like, what, -3 attack or whatever. I think that's what Dovin Bond is. I don't quite remember. It might be -4, but it doesn't always have to be a kill spell. Everybody's like, oh, so every time you kill it, I have a 2/3 chance of replacing it. Cool. Whatever. First of all, you can counter the spell, and this would still go off. Secondly, this goes off before the spell or ability resolves, because on the stack this would be first, so you could draw a counter spell and then counter it. And third, recurring abilities like Planeswalker abilities or Pacification Array, where you tap their creature over and over and over. This just shuts down everything. They'd give you so many cards, it would be a death sentence. So this isn't just, oh, they killed something, I replaced it. It shuts down entire concepts. It shuts down blue tap, blue bounce. I mean, everything. You get so many cards. And plus, once again, this is a 1 cost enchantment, and it's recurring card draw. Recurring free card draw triggers. You don't have to tap anything. You don't have to pay mana. It's just, here, have some cards for the rest of the game. Those are the most powerful cards in Magic, debatably. Next up, Entrancing Melody. This card just came out of nowhere. It's so crazy. I mean, it's so crazy they had to make it double blue. You gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X permanently. So if it's early game, steal something cheap, and if it's late game, steal something big and you have the mana to back it up. I mean, it's just that simple. You have to have 2 more than they paid to cast it, obviously. Because if they cast a 3 cost, you need to pay 5 for the spell, unless you discount the spell. Now, you can't cast it for free or X is automatically 0. But trust me, stealing their biggest creature is crazy. And also, here's the kicker. You can steal a token regardless of its power, toughness, or anything for 2. X equals 0. I mean, a 9/9 octopus token. Those aren't in standard, but you could steal it. Walking Ballista. It doesn't matter what they paid at the time. That's its CMC on the stack. Its card CMC is 0. So you could steal a Walking Ballista with 10 counters on it by paying 2 mana. Or like I said, just steal the biggest creature, because now they're left with little crappy stuff, plus in addition whatever you had on your side of the battlefield, and now you've got their biggest creature. I mean, you could just steal their only flyer and then just win the game. It's crazy. If they had an aura attached to it, you get it. If they had an equipment attached to it, you get it until they move it on their turn. By the way, that's how that works, in case you're wondering. But this is just so huge. This card can win the game by itself. And on turn 3, you can steal a 1 cost that they really, really need, like a ramp card. I mean, it's pretty good early game, but it's really good late game, especially with treasures. With treasures, you just sack a couple and just steal whatever you want. Speaking of things with 2-colored mana and the cost plus X that are awesome, Sanguine Sacrament. You gain twice X life, and it's double white X. Then you put it on the bottom of its owner's library, which, yeah, they don't even want you bringing this back from the graveyard. Graveyard to hand, you could just do this repeatedly. I mean, like, Channel's not legal, because that would actually be hilarious. Sunbond isn't legal, or this would be outrageous. But, I mean, it's just good. Like, this almost single-handedly makes the opponent kill you twice. If you've got a lot of mana and not a lot to show for it, in other words, you got, partially flooded. Like, you got 8-9 lands on the field, and you've just got, like, 2 really good first strikers holding them off. Boom! Go from 20 to... I don't remember how much land I just said you had. You go to 32, I think it would be. boom. I mean, you could just take a whole bunch of hits. This is the equivalent of casting fog multiple times. I mean, it's so good. The only problem is, I mean, reducing its spell cost, that's kind of hard to do. I don't know, like, there's no real way to amplify it. There's no card that says when you gain life, gain double, like Alhammaret's Archive. I think that's what that card did. I don't remember, something like that. But I mean, there are life gain triggers as well. So you could just cast this for 3. If you need to trigger prowess or some kind of pseudo storm, you could cast it for 0. Well, X equals 0 and then pay 2. Or if you just need another card in your graveyard. So it's very flexible and it does things that most people don't think. But it's the equivalent to stopping your opponent's attack multiple times depending upon the size of their creatures. The best thing is you can let their creatures through as a trap, and this is an instant. This just screams sorcery to me, but it's instant, so take advantage of that. Next up, Lightning Rig Crew. This is everything. This is your whole deck in card form. I mean, it's just so good. First of all, pirate spell. So whenever you cast a pirate spell, if you control a pirate, if there's a pirate in your graveyard, whatever, here they are. I mean, yeah, they're basically monkey goblins, but they're pirates apparently. It's an honorary title. I mean, they probably have an honorary doctorate in lightning cannonry from some pirate college. I don't know. So it's a 0/5 for 3. Boom. It's a wall. Now, the funny thing is it actually can attack. So if you were to put counters on it, hello. And you can swing with it and just trigger raid. Oh, if you attacked with a creature this turn, guess what? You did. It's a 0/5. And did they block and kill it? Probably not. Now, at the start of your opponent's end step, or not really the start, during your opponent's end step, every single turn, tap him, boom, 1 damage, they're losing life. Never underestimate 1 guaranteed damage to your opponent every single turn. It will chip away at them real quick, especially in red. I mean, in black, it's one thing, because that's pretty common, but red, oh my god. Now, whenever you cast another pirate spell, untap, Lightning, Rig Crew, okay, I mean, extra little zaps. So you just gotta remember, oh, I'm about to cast a pirate spell, tap them, deal 1 damage, untap them. Got it. And then zap them during their end step. In fact, if you were forced to chump block a 8/8 dinosaur, we'll say with this, you can declare it as a blocker, and then in response, or I don't know, at the end of that phase, really, you can tap them, and there's your extra 1 little damage, and then it doesn't remove them from combat. It's blocking, it's damage, it's tribal, and it's raid, all in 1 card. I mean, do not underestimate this. Next up, one of the absolute best cards that I've ever seen in the game at all, Captivating Crew. Okay, 4/3 for 4, so already it's formidable. And then you can pay 4 with no tapping, multiple times per turn, gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. So with treasures, you could probably get up to 8 and steal 2. So this is, you know, hijack, active treason, whatever, in card form. It's on a stick, as they say. Pretty sure that phrase goes back to Ixalan Scepter, and he doesn't have Scepter, but he has a sword. And that could be considered a stick too. So you untap it if it already swung. It gains haste because side-switching sickness, and you can activate it only as a sorcery, obviously. I mean, sorcery speed and stealing a creature, that's like in the fabric of the game. You could wreck your opponent if you steal one of their attackers and then force it to block. That would be devastating. So, I mean, you might think, oh, 4 is a lot. Well, you had 4 to throw this guy out, didn't you? And plus treasure, like I said. And also, it's a pirate tribal. And also, it's a 4/3, so then once you've stolen their only thing that can block a 4/3, swing with it and swing with this. I mean, it's crazy. And then once you control it, you can sacrifice their permanent, maybe, if you're playing black. There's like 7 sacrifice outlets, some of which are actually completely free. They're like the cost for an ability. It's crazy. So if he comes out, your opponent destroys him or they lose. Simple as that. So for 4 mana, hell yeah. Next up, this is the most obvious include ever, Settle the Wreckage. One of my favorite cards in all of Magic is Aether Spouts, and this is 1 cheaper and in more of a favorite color of mine. So as an instant, exile all attacking creatures target player controls. So if their tokens are vaporized, if they had counters on them, they're gone. It's not even bouncing them back to hand. Aether Spouts was the top or bottom of the deck, though. That was pretty rough. But exiled, okay, they're gone. They are G-O-N-E, goodbye, gone. Now, here's the downside, because you're probably thinking, for 4 mana and as an instant, yeah, that's crazy. That player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards, put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle their library. Holy crap, so you are ramping them back up. But here's the thing, you didn't put those cards back into hand. So you're virtually guaranteeing that they're never going to draw another land the rest of the game, and they have virtually infinite mana. But can they stop you? I mean, the only reason they would swing at you with a whole bunch of creatures is if their board state was superior to yours. So they got a bunch of stuff on the field. They wouldn't, I guess you could cast this if they had one creature swinging, but against like 6 of yours, they probably wouldn't. So them swinging at you indicates that they have a more powerful line of creatures, or something, something similar. So you just destroyed them all of them, every single one. Except not destroyed, they don't go to the graveyard. I mean, so if they have some kind of weird, like, flashbacky kind of thing, nope, they're gone. You can hand them all the basic lands you want. I don't care, they're not going to win. That's not even a downside. That's just like a consolation prize to make them feel better, to make them feel like they got something out of this spell. It is not the way that they're going to come back, trust me. Next up, card that's like $11, so no surprise here, Ripjaw Raptor. This is the best enraged creature in the set as far as playability, because it's a 4/5 for 4. I mean, that's doable. It's a little late, but it's doable, but that's a lot of toughness. You're going to want toughness if you have Enrage. It could literally be like a 1/7, and as long as it has Enrage, great. But yeah, whenever it's dealt damage, draw a card, and, keep in mind, you could purposely deal it damage. So if you have some little crappy, 2 damage, like Shock Spell or something like that, you hit it, and then it's like your Shock Spell had really overpriced cycling. Because honestly, a 2-cost spell with cycling would probably be cycle 1. But yeah, I mean, this is just every time you block someone, whether you died or not, well, not every time you block, you had to actually take damage, boom, card in your hand. Recurring card draw for free. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to tap. I mean, are you sensing a pattern here? Whenever you put cards in your hand for free, over the long term, over and over and over, it's gonna be good. Next up, Hostage Taker. This is basically the exact same card as Entrancing Melody. It's just 2 color. But if you're running black, blue, hey, why not? Run them both. Now, the other cool thing is this is actually a creature. I mean, it's a 2/3, but hey, for 4, that's crap. But this could be an enchantment and people would still play it. So might as well have a 2/3. And plus, you're going to dominate the board state when you play this. So when it enters the battlefield, exile target artifact or creature, which is insane, until it leaves the battlefield, and then in which case I believe they get it back. And then you may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. So I assume after you've cast it, it leaves the exile zone, and then they don't get it back when this dies. Oh, and the idiots at Wizard had to errata the card, as they say it, to prevent it from targeting itself. It is an infinite loop in card form. It is not even a combo, because combo implies it was 2 cards. Wow, Wizards. Wow. You should actually read all the rulings because they're pretty nuts. Like, if its trigger went on the stack, but then it was removed from the battlefield, its trigger does not do anything, which is not how that normally works. Also, if somebody tries to blow up Hostage Taker in response to you casting the spell that you stole, it, I think, does go off. Yeah, it's like considered a new object or something. I don't know. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rulings about this card, so go read them. They're very strange. But anyway, yeah, I mean, okay, you exiled something and you're holding it hostage. It's basically Faith Unbroken or that stupid Exile Angel thing. Cool. The fact that they get it back is stupid. Oh, wait, immediately cast it. I mean, yeah, you just spent 4 on Hostage Taker, but usually during your next turn, you would cast it. And you can spend mana as though it were any type. So the spell basically becomes generic mana. So if it's like really hard to cast or it's like a 3-color creature or something, not for you, it isn't. So yeah, that whatever you stole is coming out the next turn almost guaranteed. I mean, you could just use this to, have a 1/1 for 1 that somehow has 9 counters on it and you just removed it and you don't even want it. Well, still, it's only 1 mana. Throw it out there. Why not? Hell, it prevents your opponent from getting it back. So yeah, that is pretty insane. So once again, removing something important like your opponent's biggest creature, that's huge. And then, oh, you get it. What? Not even until end of turn. You get it. You can just cast it. There it is. It's yours. I mean, you do legally have to give it back at the end of the game. But other than that, it's yours. This can single-handedly win the game. It's crazy. Speaking of single-handedly winning the game, Vona, Butcher of Magan. By the way, is this not totally like a steampunk version of V for Vendetta? I mean, that's almost a Guy Fawkes mask. I mean, it's mostly white. Actually, that he might just be that white. I mean, they're pretty pale vampires. It honestly looks like he's wearing like a sock or like some white pantyhose over his head, like he's gonna go rob a bank. And honestly, they're conquistadors. They're pretty much on their way to rob a bank no matter where they are. Anyway, it is a 5 cost 4/4, and it is legendary. But that's just a sign that it's damn good. Vigilance lifelink. What? Okay. Kind of wish it was a 3/5, but that 4 is going to come in handy, you know, because Vigilance and lifelink, you kind of want to swing with it every turn and have it not die. But here's the thing. Tap it, pay 7 life, which, okay, I mean, 4 lifelink, pay 7, every other turn maybe. Destroy target non-land permanent. And that's anything. That's an enchantment, artifact, aura, equipment. Anything that's not a land, you can take it out. Activate this ability only during your turn, because otherwise it would be OP as balls. But here's the combo that you should already be thinking. Vigilance, swing with it, it's not tapped. In the middle of combat, boom, tap it. If you don't like what they blocked with, or they just boosted it to have, I don't know, double the attack power, it's gone. This card wrecked people's faces even more than the artwork on this card already did. I mean, I think it single-handedly beat me in a match. I could not stop this stupid card. And while you're destroying crap, you know, go get that frickin' Sanguine Sacrament that gives you like 1,000,000 life for X, and cast that just to stall, and then hey, you got 7. So you can swing and activate a tap ability every single turn, and there's no way in hell you're blocking with this guy anyway, so why not? This is self-contained craziness. It can single-handedly win the game once again, which, you know, you're seeing a theme of what made it to this list. Next up, we're getting a little basic. Chart a course. I mean, it's not even double blue. It is sorcery speed. Who cares? Get over it. Draw 2 cards, and then you only discard one of them. Or actually, not one of them. You discard a card from your hand, not necessarily the 2 that you drew, unless you attacked with a creature this turn. So basically, raid. So as long as you attacked with a creature this turn at all, probably the one you stole from your opponent, you get 2 cards for 2 mana. I could make a list of what doesn't do that, but let me just summarize it as the average is 1.5 mana per card. I mean, Divination? Nope. Dragonlord's Prerogative? Nope. Okay, there's a draw 7 that costs 7, but who the hell's, you know, gonna get to 7 mana? But yeah, this is crazy. I mean, 2 cards for 2 mana, they're not even 2 blue mana. So early game, yeah, you probably got 1 card you don't need. Who cares if you attacked? And late game, you probably attacked. If you didn't, okay, you're getting 1 card for 2, except it's optional which one you want to throw in the battle, or in the graveyard. I mean, let's be honest, the other one's getting thrown into the battlefield, but other than that, yeah, just 2 for 2. That's all you need to know about this card. And finally, we are ending with the most basic creature on this list, but I just can't overstate mathematically how good this is. Bishop's Soldier, 2/2 lifelink 2 cost. Not even double white. You have no excuse for not running this card in just about any deck that runs white. I would honestly try to stuff it into a deck that doesn't even run white and just cross my fingers and hope some kind of treasure shows up or something. He is that good. I mean, it isn't always about absolute power. You know, it's not about, oh, I'll just chump block and get something out of it. It's not about, oh, it has first strike, it's in the air, it has evasion, it has hexproof. This is just, I'm creating a spread of 4 every time I swing and hit you, you know, just between your 2 life totals, you and your opponent. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. I mean, one of the most underrated cards from Kaladesh, or Aether Revolt, I forget, was Kambal. Every time they cast a non-creature spell, you gain 2 life and they lose 2 life. That would just burn people, absolutely burn people. Well, here it is. Bishop Soldier only costs 2. It's mono-colored. Now, the trick is you have to, you know, hit them every time, but if you were to swing against a matching 2/2, but not with lifelink, so just a 2/2 that costs who cares, they would almost be forced to block with it immediately and lose it, no matter how important it is. Like, so if it was some kind of, you know, mana generating 2 cost, we'll say, well, actually that was a 1/1, but it, you know, if it's a 2/2 but they need it, they also need it not to be 30 to 10 within 5 swings. And the funny thing is, burning a removal spell on this guy is a complete waste of removal spell, except it isn't. I mean, card-wise and mana cost-wise and everything, yeah, it's a waste, but they're going to lose if he remains on the field for a couple turns. At a certain point, it is damn hard to come back from that big of a life total difference. I mean, if they finally get the board state out of control and it's like 8 to 32, great. I mean, they better control the board state pretty thoroughly for like 10 more turns. So this guy's even more insane if you're running removal, or if you have some kind of ambush to make him bigger, grant him flying, anything like that. He is just the perfect basic standard white creature in that he's better than pretty much any other creature. Even if he hits something once and trades with it, that is worth it. That is a removal spell for 2 that also, gained you 2 life. So yes, put this in everything. I don't care if it doesn't match your tribal or whatever, put it in everything. So that's it. There might have been a couple cards I missed. I don't know, I kind of skimmed, but this, you get the gist of it. Recurring triggers, recurring value, value over time, undercosted stuff, and perpetual card draw. Those are always and always will be the most powerful effects in Magic, typically in Standard. It's a little bit different from Modern, of course. So hopefully you can pick out some for yourself from other sets, because I'm probably not going to make this video twice. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.